Well, we'd like to welcome you to this week's episode of Governing Georgia here on WTOC Plus, where each Friday we take you under the Gold Dome and break down the latest legislation moving through the Georgia Capitol and explain what it means for you, your family, and your community. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley. Thanks for joining us this Friday afternoon. We begin with this. New gun laws are front and center for state lawmakers this legislative session. A Senate bill passed last month which would ban cities from requiring gun owners to lock up their guns in their cars. Now, the bill is a response to an ordinance passed right here in Savannah. It required guns left in vehicles to be securely stored in a glove compartment, console, locked trunk, or behind the last upright seat of a vehicle without a trunk. The ordinance also mandated that unoccupied vehicles must be kept locked when there's a gun inside. And another bill making its way under the Gold Dome seeks to ban devices used to transform handguns into automatic weapons. People who support the so-called switch ban bill say it's a simple solution to the growing epidemic of gun violence in Georgia, while people opposing the bill say the problem isn't access to guns, it's mental health. According to everytownresearch.org, Georgia's gun laws are among the loosest in the country, ranked 44th out of all states. And staying under the Gold Dome, Senate Democrats are taking action against large-scale ICE facilities across the state. Lawmakers have proposed legislation prohibiting the use of state resources to support ICE warehouse detention centers. The Department of Homeland Security recently purchased a warehouse in Social Circle, Georgia, that could fit up to 10,000 detainees and has proposed another project in Oakwood. That's on top of the 4 centers already in the state of Georgia. Democrat Jaha Howard authored the bill. He says Georgia's taxpayers should not foot the bill for the detention centers without clear public consent and accountability. However, some Republicans say they support these facilities.
Decisions of this magnitude should not be imposed from the top down. Local residents, local officials, and state leaders must have a voice before irreversible commitments are made that can fundamentally alter the character and the stability of a community.
We do not want to overwhelm a small community like you're just pointing out, but at the same time, we have a duty to respond to the needs of our citizens in our state to make sure that they're safe in their communities and their neighborhoods, and especially in their bedrooms at night.
Howard believes there will be, quote, unusual collaboration among Democrats and independents pushing back against the proposed detention centers. Well, Georgia's state income tax is one step closer to getting the axe. The bill is now heading to the General Assembly after clearing a Senate vote last week. The legislation would more than quadruple the standard deduction you can claim. The result? Well, in the first year, about 2/3 of Georgians would be paying no income tax at all. Supporters say people would save an average of about $5,000, while critics say the state uses the income tax to fund critical services.
It's real money in real people's pockets, not token money that we've told them will help them later. Senate Bill 476 is tailored to address the affordability crisis for the middle class.
This scam bill creates a massive hole in our state budget. It's going to be a hole so deep that it will swallow the services that families, everyday families, rely on.
Now, right now, 9 states do not have a state income tax. That includes our neighbors to the north and the south in Tennessee and Florida. Well, President Trump is back in our nation's capital this afternoon following his first visit to Georgia this year. Yesterday, he was in Rome, Georgia. Justin Berger with our sister station has more on the president's visit.
President Donald Trump visited an Atlanta staple in Rome, the Varsity, across the street.
People were lined up they had it barricaded like little gates all the way down the road.
A few miles away, Trump met with the Coosa Steel team before he gave his remarks on the economy. Tariffs top of mind.
Because the tariffs have really been a big difference.
It's been a game changer. We were competing with China. They had taken all of it. They were producing racks at $90 a piece. Our cost alone is $150. You've leveled it. The playing field's back.
And to think I have to be in the United States Supreme Court for many, many months waiting for a decision on tariffs Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble right now.
Trump covered many topics from tariffs to voter ID to Venezuela, but the visit was about his economy. President Trump told Georgians their incomes will increase $7,000 next year, and his plans will boost household take-home pay by over $10,000. The president, both at the Varsity and during his speech, brought up the ongoing saga surrounding the Fulton County Election Office raid.
They don't want them to see the ballot. They've taken the ballots. They have them now after years. They got an order from the court, signed order from a very respected judge, and now they're trying to stop anybody from looking. You know why? Because they cheated like dogs.
Reporting from Rome in Floyd County, Justin Berger, Atlanta News First.
And many Republicans traveled to Floyd County for the president's visit, but at the Capitol in Atlanta yesterday, it was fairly quiet. Democratic leaders and one Georgia mother told us there was no time to take a day off, and there's a lot of work to be done to help Georgia families.
Tale as old as time. The people at the bottom get hit the most. I'm one of those people that are at the bottom, and I am getting hit the most.
He's coming here to lie. He's coming here to gaslight. He's coming here to portray a version of the truth that does not exist.
The president's visit, of course, puts the spotlight on the current special election for District 14. That's to replace former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. It's currently 18 candidates in the running right now, and President Trump went ahead and endorsed the district attorney from that area, Clay Fuller, about a week or two ago. Continuing with our show, some Georgia lawmakers are taking aim at insurance costs. A quartet of new bills looks to bring sweeping changes and potentially save you money as well. State lawmakers look to build on momentum, beginning with the Georgia Insurance Affordability and Claims Integrity Act, known as House Bill 1344. One of the four discussed at the state capitol this week that lawmakers hope will make its way to the governor's desk. It calls for increasing fines in Georgia's insurance code, addressing timely claims processing following storms, and enhancing oversight and transparency by expanding the insurance commissioner's enforcement authority. It's part of a series of proposals looking to build upon recent insurance reforms, including last year's tort reform measures signed into law trying to curb lawsuit abuse. The Insurance Information Institute said that they see it as a big positive, pointing to several auto insurers filing rate reductions, with more expected to follow through the end of this year, adding that, quote, legal system abuse costs every Georgian $1,500 per year in a tort tax.
Company putting money back into the pockets of their customers. I feel very confident that no state is doing more to drive down the cost of living, address affordability, and stabilize insurance rates than Georgia is doing right now.
Now, part of House Bill 1344 would also allow the commissioner to examine all available evidence when reviewing insurers' rate filings. The goal there is to eliminate fraud on both sides and ultimately reduced costs for Georgians. Well, the battle over Georgia's elections is getting bigger. At issue is who controls voting in Fulton County, and Abby Kasoris reports from the Capitol where the debate got underway this week. Take a look.
It started here 3 weeks ago, January 28th. FBI agents swarmed Fulton County's election hub, hauling out hundreds of boxes of ballots and documents from 2020. The search warrant claims they're investigating defects in that election, one President Donald Trump has claimed was rigged against him.
I'm calling to order.
Now that raid is driving today's state election board meeting, their first since the FBI seized those ballots. A state trooper stands guard as the board hears cases of alleged election violations statewide.
We're concerned about what's going on.
Outside faith leaders are taking a stand against what they say they see coming, calling it an attack on voting rights.
We will not sit back and be silent while this latest egregious effort to rob us of our right to vote takes place.
This fight has consumed the state capitol, dominating the conversation for both Democrats and Republicans.
The Fulton County's voter rolls.
State Senator Greg Dolezal posted these videos on X showing what he calls proof Fulton's voter rolls littered with false addresses.
All Georgians' votes are being diluted by people illegally registered to vote at UPS stores, empty parking lots, storage units, homeless shelters that have been closed since 2017.
He wants the board to take over Fulton County, installing a state-appointed superintendent to control polling locations, voting machines, even line lengths. Democrat Stacey Evans is calling it voter intimidation by another name.
This is a distraction. It's a ploy to relitigate 2020, and even more so to take control and to intimidate voters going into the 2026 elections.
Abby Kasoris, Atlanta News First.
Well, Georgia lawmakers are working to make sure you don't foot the bill for data centers. New legislation just passed in the State House of Representatives. House Bill 1063 would require power companies to protect residential and retail electricity customers from costs associated with those data centers. The legislation passed the House and now goes to the State Senate for consideration. It's just one of many bills targeting data centers this session, including measures that could end tax breaks for the facilities and place a year-long moratorium on the construction of new data centers across the state of Georgia. And the debate over data centers in Georgia has really expanded across the entire Peach State. Leaders in Irwin County are considering a project and whether it would expand the county's tax base. Right now, it relies heavily on home and landowners to fund services. However, concerns about how much water the project would need are coming as people push back. The local Riverkeeper organization argues it would make water levels in rivers and springs even lower than they already are. Here's another bill we're following this week. Lagging Georgia drivers may soon be asked to pick up the pace. Some Georgia lawmakers want to increase the minimum speed limit on major highways from 40 miles per hour to 50. This would only be for highways where the maximum speed is 65 or faster. The bill's sponsor says the gap between the slowest drivers and the fastest drivers is causing deadly rear-end crashes. Critics argue the change could be too hard on senior citizens and student drivers. Right now, this bill is still in committee. Well, the world is remembering the life of a civil rights icon. Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away this week at age 84, and some lawmakers in Georgia say they wouldn't be in the position they're in if it wasn't for the brave work of the late Reverend. For decades, Jackson carried forward Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s fight for justice. Jackson was in Memphis the day King was assassinated, but he picked up the torch. Jackson founded Operation Push to fight for economic justice, and then the Rainbow Coalition to unite people across racial lines. Now this week, under the Gold Dome, lawmakers held a moment of silence and promised to continue the fight, specifically protecting voter rights.
Too much blood has been shed for our right to vote. So as black people, we're not going to give up on that. And that's what we're down here for. We're not down here to win no popularity contest. We're down here to fight for the people.
He always had a saying, I am somebody. Everyone, the 11.2 million Georgians, we are somebody. This legislature and this budget, the laws that are passed, needs to reflect that.
And some representatives say honoring Reverend Jackson's legacy means fighting for those voter rights the same way that Jackson taught them to fight. We've also heard from plenty of local leaders here in the Coastal Empire as well. During his weekly press conference on Tuesday, Savannah Mayor Van Johnson talked about the number of times that he had met Reverend Jesse Jackson and the influence that he had on the mayor of Savannah. All right, finally, before we sign off here on WTOC Plus and WTOC's Facebook page, wanted to share a fun story with you because Georgia's state bird is the brown thrasher, its state onion is the Vidalia, and its state flower is the Cherokee rose. But this week, lawmakers discussed a new state symbol. Joshua Skinner with our sister station had the difficult task of going to a wing cafe to talk and test lemon pepper wings. Take a look.
There's a state thing for everything. Georgia state amphibian, the green tree frog. State reptile, the gopher tortoise. So it should come as no surprise that lawmakers in Atlanta today discussed naming lemon pepper Georgia's state chicken wing flavor.
Georgians like lemon pepper wings.
State Representative Eric Bell authored HB 1013, and a 6-person committee met today at the Capitol to see if it tastes as good as it sounds.
It's one way to highlight Georgia's culinary culture and cuisine.
So I stopped by the Wing Cafe and Tap House in Marietta to speak with Assistant Manager Sarah Baker and try 4 versions of lemon pepper wings.
This is our dry lemon pepper. This is our regular wet lemon pepper right here. This would be our Liger, which is our hot lemon pepper. And this right over here is our lemon gnocchi.
It did not disappoint.
Is it everything you thought it would be?
It's more than I thought it would be.
Okay, good.
Wings and lemon pepper flavoring have ingrained themselves in Atlanta culture, but how that got drummed up is a matter of who's talking.
People from Buffalo, because that's where the Buffalo Wings started, moved down to Atlanta, and they started opening Taco Max in like the 70s.
By the 80s, J.R. Crickets had become an Atlanta anchor, popularizing lemon pepper in the South. The flavor is now a national mainstay, and one which Baker feels Georgia should lay claim to.
I absolutely agree. I think everybody should agree.
But leave it to humans to argue about anything. Yesterday, a federal judge in Illinois ruled against a fraud lawsuit, get this, in which a man claimed Buffalo Wild Wings' boneless wings are just chicken nuggets. That's fine. Lemon pepper? Well, there's more meat on that bone, because taste buds shouldn't be divisive.
Lemon pepper is something that we all can get along with.
In Marietta, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.
And this wouldn't be the only state food in some way. This is from the Food Network, but the official prepared food of Georgia is grits. The official fruit, of course, the peach. That makes plenty of sense. And the official crop is the peanut right here in Georgia. So it's funny. That's not the only food bill we've talked about. Our Madeline Bierster did a story we talked about 2 weeks ago about shrimping labeling right here. So there's been quite a few food bills moving through the State House this session, something we'll continue to follow, as well as all the other bills we talked about today. But with that, we are going to wrap things up for this week's episode of Governing Georgia on WTOC Plus. This is the show we do every Friday at 2:30 on WTOC Plus and the WTOC Facebook page. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll try to get to them right after this show ends. That is going to conclude this week's show, and would like to thank you all for watching.